Welcome back, everybody. As you might know from this series, what I do is once a week, I'll be sharing with you a question that came in from a CSM or CSPO class. Generally, what I do these days at the beginning of every class is I ask the students, what are your big questions that you want answered right here, right now at the beginning of class before I teach you anything at all? So let's see, what is this week's question? It's actually not well, it looks like a question. It goes like this. How to adapt Scrum to accommodate remote or distributed teams? For example, any tools recommendation? All right, well, here's what I will do. I will give you my opinion on remote and or distributed teams. First of all, you can get my entire opinion just by how I call these teams. I call them dislocated teams. And the reason I call them dislocated is because dislocation hurts. If you've ever dislocated your shoulder or a finger or something like that, it doesn't feel good. And that's really my opinion on the whole matter is I would rather everyone be co-located in one geographic place. Do we always get what we want? No. So as far as my opinion goes, who cares? I do believe that people work better in person, face to face with each other. Again, my opinion. What does my opinion matter? So how do you do this? How do you adapt Scrum to be something that I personally consider is not ideal? Be remote, dislocated, distributed, that sort of thing. Well, one of the first things that you're going to have to do is agree on a time zone. Okay, that's pretty much just it. If you want to sub-optimize by letting everybody work in their own specific time zone and on whatever schedule you want, that's perfectly fine. And yeah, I said sub-optimize, which means understand that optimally you'd want everybody working at the same time because how better to collaborate? Scrum teams collaborate all the time. They're what I call all the time cohesive and collaborative teams. How can you collaborate with somebody if you're not doing it in real time? I don't know how that works. So you're going to have to pick a time zone. So a maximum amount of time in which the entire Scrum team overlaps the time that they work in. So I don't even really care if we don't work in my time zone. But again, I'm giving you my opinion. I've worked at companies before where they said, well, we've got half the team here in Chicago, half of the team in Mumbai or Chennai or wherever it was in India. Um, 13 and a half hours apart, I think it was. So for 1 or 2 months, we work on Chicago time zone. And for 1 or 2 months, we work on India time zone. It's not the greatest working in the middle of the night, but as long as the discomfort or dislocation is felt by everybody on the team, then I guess that's okay. But anyway, how do you adapt Scrum? I probably wouldn't adapt Scrum. I would adapt the way I work or how we work. I wouldn't adapt Scrum at all. I would still have the sprint start off with sprint planning. And then every single day throughout the sprint, we do a daily scrum to make sure that we're all planning out our days together collaboratively. And then, at the end of the sprint, we take time out to demonstrate the increment to the stakeholders, get feedback from them. So that feedback feeds the product backlog. And then at the very, very end of the sprint, how the sprint closes is with a retrospective with just the Scrum team. I wouldn't move any of those things around. I absolutely like starting the first day of the sprint with sprint planning. And I like ending the last day of the sprint with the retrospective. Not everybody likes doing that. So anyway, I wouldn't adapt Scrum very much. I would adapt the way we work. The last part of this says any tools recommendation. And I know for a fact when we talked about this in class, they wanted to know more about Jira. Here's the thing. Jira is not Scrum. If if I had a nickel for every student that came into class and every person that I coached who thought that Jira had Scrum's best interest at heart, I'd be a freaking millionaire by now. Jira doesn't give one wet fart about Scrum. And that's just it. Jira operates the way Jira wants to operate. Jira's got its own workflow and it forces you to comply with it. Jira does not dictate your process. You dictate your process. And your process was probably an adaptation of what you read in the Scrum Guide or what you were taught once. So what tools would I recommend? I'm not going to recommend Jira, version 1, whatever Rally is calling itself today, Azure DevOps, ServiceNow, um, or what is that other one? Salesforce. I'm not going to recommend any of those. What I am going to recommend are visual collaboration tools. I personally like using Mural, and I'm in the minority. I like Mural because of everything that people think it doesn't offer. Because at the beginning of the pandemic, everyone saw Mural first, and they were like, "Ooh, there's a lag," and "Ooh, it costs so much," and "Ooh, I don't want to have to do that." All of those oohs, all of those things that didn't feel too good, they're all gone now. But anyway, I like using Mural. It's a visual collaboration tool. You can use it for anything. You can actually build a product backlog and a sprint backlog in a huge white collaborative, whiteboard collaborative space so that you can, literally visually collaborate right there in real time with each other. It's even got built into it its own telecommunications tool. I don't think anybody uses it, but it's got that in there. Miro is another one. So Mural is what I was just talking about. And Miro is, I don't want to say a copycat because I don't know who copied who, but it does almost the same thing, but with major structural differences. So Miro and Mural, probably the biggest two that I would say these tools you might want to get your hands on. Then there are specific retrospective tools, which I don't like using visual tools, digital tools for retrospectives, but there are some out there. The one that always comes to mind to me is Retrium. I consulted with them very, very shortly for a very short period of time when they were first starting up. I don't even know who's running it now, but Retrium seems to be a good enough tool. Again, you can use Mural or even Miro for your retrospectives. You just create another collaboration space, and you put whatever visuals you want up on the board, and you have at it. As far as tools go, I wouldn't bend over backwards trying to find the right tool for your team just yet. I would explore lots of them. Ask everyone you know what tools they use. Try them out. Almost every tool out there has a trial period if it's a paid for tool. If it's a free tool, just go ahead and use it. I've heard people using Jamboards and even Google Docs before. But anyway, try out a bunch of tools, see what you like, and then get your organization to say whether you can adopt it or not. Okay. Anyway, that's it for now. If you want to contact me, you can always email me at wisdom@yscrum.com. You can comment all you want on that bathroom wall of advice called LinkedIn. You can comment in the section below. Anyway, if you want to interact with me, have at it. I'd love to hear from you. Thanks, and I'll see you next time.